All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting back to order. Meeting of the Carver Select Board for Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. This meeting is being recorded by Area 58 Community Access Media, Channel 15, and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to the front page on our website for a listing and application. If we could all stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ryan, if you would read our community prayer.
Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility. And especially we lift up prayers for all the citizens of our community that have been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek. And keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. All right, with the board's permission, I would ask that we take our 5:55 agenda item to ratify the finance director contract out of order and handle that first. Any objection? All right. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to ratify the finance director contract.
I move that we ratify the finance director's contract.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. And we have our new finance director with us this evening, Ms. Karen Preval. Karen, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to everyone in the Select Board. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity of working for the town of Carver, making sure that the finances are fiscally responsible, and just really looking forward to this opportunity, and I thank you very much.
Well, we're looking forward to working with you, so we appreciate you coming in.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anything else from Ms. Preval?
No, if I might, just for the viewing audience, so she has a lot of experience in both the city government as well as a town government in the city of Brockton, as well as the town of Milton, where she served as the finance director. She's currently the auditor in Brockton. She has a wealth of experience, and her background is impeccable. So we're very happy to have you on board, and thank you for applying and going through the long process.
Okay. And the start date is going to be?
Start date is March 25th.
March 25th. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Preval.
Welcome.
We really appreciate
Looking
it.
forward to working with all of you.
So I'll be in touch. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm going to introduce her.
All right. We'll go back to our regular agenda now. First item on our agenda, as always, is citizens' participation. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board? Seeing none, we will move on. We have a 535 application for appointment to the Earth Removal Committee of Judy Richards. Do we know whether Judy was planning on attending the meeting?
She's right there in the
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. Judy? Come on up, welcome. I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay, thank you. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to come before you in interest with the Earth Removal Committee. The last couple of years, I've been attending a lot of meetings, boards and committees. I've been taking notes, researching, and I feel that the Earth Removal Committee is the first part or step in every project in the town, whether it's a single-family, commercial, solar battery project, or cranberry box. Earth removal plays a big part in the development of Carver, and I'm willing and want to learn about the committee. I'm willing and want to make a positive difference for my town. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Are there questions for Ms. Richards? We certainly appreciate you stepping up.
I just have a question in general. Aren't there certain, for the earth removal committee, are there certain like designations and which ones does this fall under?
This one is the designation of the select board.
Select board representative?
Yeah,
There's 3
representative,
select,
yeah.
2 trucking, 1 board of health, and a cranberry grower.
Got it.
Okay, anything else, Mayor?
No.
Is there a motion?
I move that we appoint Judy Richards to the Earth Removal Committee.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
It
you
is
very
unanimous.
much.
Thank you so much. You'll get a letter from the town administrator's office, and then you can go down and see the town clerk and get sworn in.
Perfect, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you for
Thank you.
volunteering.
Thank you.
Judy.
All right. Next up is a appointment of a representative to the Town Administrator Screening Committee, the Business Community Representative. That would be Kevin Tracy. And this is an appointment, the member that was appointed Art Board and had to step down, unfortunately. So I see Mr. Tracy here. Welcome. Thanks for coming in this evening.
Thanks for having me.
And you're here, I assume you're still interested in serving on the screening committee?
Yes, I am, as long as you guys aren't going to try to meet during the day.
Well, of course, we're not the screening committee, so that's up to them as to
Yeah.
when they meet. But the good thing was, they were authorized to have remote participation as well, so.
Okay, good.
Um,
Are there questions for Mr. Tracy?
Guess general question, and I should know this, but I don't.
Want to move the mic?
Have there been many meetings of the screening committee?
They've been meeting fairly
Is-
regularly. haven't
Of the,
they? Screening.
Yeah, the screening committee. How many
I
meetings,
don't,
roughly how many
I'm
meetings
not
have they
involved,
had?
so I don't really know.
No,
So if you-
none of us are. I mean, I believe there's been
if you-
several.
Have you had a chance to look at the meetings and just kind of get caught up?
I have not, but I'm sure somebody can send me the minutes, and I can get caught up that way.
Yeah. And the chair's Pat Mahar, so if you could get in touch with him,
I can.
he'll tell you when they meet, I'm sure.
Cool.
I think, I want to say it's like early evening.
honestly don't
I
know.
can do.
Yeah, because I've seen them leave here when we've come in, so,
That I can do.
but I don't know. Not sure.
And again, the good thing is we authorized when we put the charge together that remote participation as well in the event that somebody couldn't, get there for a meeting, so.
Absolutely.
All right. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve Kevin Tracy to the Town Administrator Screening Committee as the Business Community Representative.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. We
Thank you very
appreciate it.
much.
And again, as the previous applicant, you'll get a letter from the town administrator's office, and then you can go down to the town clerk and get
Yep,
sworn
I'm
in.
sure there's some paperwork that I need to get caught up on.
I'm sure there is. And we'll let Mr. Mahar know that you've been
Excellent.
appointed as well.
Excellent.
All right?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Thank
night.
you, Kevin.
All right. Next up, moving right along, is an update on corrosion of the municipal well. And I see we have Mr. Siedentoff here to update us. Thank you for coming in.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So what we have here, I've submitted this project to go be funded by ARPA monies. What we have is the municipal well, which the plant itself, the well and the treatment facility resides out behind the library. And what buildings that serves is Town Hall, EMS, the old fire police station, library, Meadowbrook Way complex, the new police station, and the new fire station. Currently, there is a water treatment plant in there that serves for magnesium and iron. What we don't have, and what this will do, DEP is mandating that we install corrosion control. The reason for that is part of our sampling schedule. We sample for lead and copper in these buildings. This building notoriously has had high copper readings. No lead in any of the buildings. The police station also has high copper readings, which is not a surprise. New water lines tend to give off copper. So we've been on a flushing schedule with DEP in this building, in the police station, but where this building has gone on so long, where the readings are high, that's why we have bottled water here. It's not a health issue. You would have to drink enough water you'd probably go into kidney failure before the copper would get you, just from ingesting so much water. But they always err on the side of caution, which is a good thing. So we are mandated to come up with a corrective plan to install corrosion control. And what that'll do, the water in this area typically has a pH level out of the ground around 5. Neutral is 7. Anything below that is corrosive. So when we test for lead and copper, we have to do what's called first draw. So the water has to be stagnant in the lines for 8 hours, then you draw it. And that kind of tells you if you're getting any seepage out of your lines into the water. And that's what's occurring. So they said an action plan must be put together, so we hired an engineering company, and they performed a study and came up with a plan, and it'll be soda ash injection. And the estimated cost for that right now, I did get one price, which came in at, let's see, $61,500. But what that means is we're going to have to put this out to public bid because it's over $50,000 per procurement laws. So we'll have to write up a descriptive, which pretty much is done. I'll work with Shelby on getting that prepared and out to bid. And I do have if anyone would like a copy of the letter from DEP.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can make more too.
And while he's doing that, just to remind the board, that was one of the ARPA funded programs that.
So we've already
we got.
approved?
You approved it already, yeah.
Thank you. I thought we had, but I was going to ask. I thought I remembered. Thank
We
you.
still need to go through the bid process.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Fennessy, why don't I give you, oh, he's going to Shelby. Perhaps you could just email it out to the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't make enough copies.
No, that's fine.
And I have a quick question through the chair. What would be the annual maintenance cost of the system once it's put in? Do you know?
With the soda ash, it'll just be for materials. We don't use a lot of water over there. Probably under $5,000 a year.
Okay.
It'll just be to purchase the equipment will be in that original bid, and then it'll just be the materials to maintain it.
Mr. Siedentoff, when you mentioned that this services the Meadowbrook complex,
Yes.
does it service both complexes back there, or just
does.
the Carver housing
No,
authority?
it services all.
So
And we
both-
do sample from there as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Sorry, I remember from years ago, the Meadowbrook complex, did they have a problem with discolored water?
I think they did at one time, haven't had any issues lately. They redid their water lines back there, and I'm not sure if they installed flushing ports, because I remember going back before I actually came on the municipal side, they had issues where I think there was some of the buildings were kind of dead-ended, and if they didn't get used, they would get discoloration. But I have not heard of any issues recently.
Okay. So the soda ash injection system for $61,000, that cures the problem? Because it seems fairly inexpensive for a wastewater treatment solution.
That's for the for drinking
Drinking
water.
water solution,
Yeah, that's what the engineer has come up with. Like I say, we already treat with manganese and iron, and possibly when that was put in, I believe, around 2016, 2017. It was prior to when I came on board. That may have also, I think that was put in to help treat with the issues they were having in Meadowbrook.
Yeah, I remember that.
That would be the discoloration. So now what the soda ash will treat for will be lead and copper.
Got it, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Ryan?
Does this system handle the elementary school, or do they have their own system?
No, they have their own system.
And do they have any similar issues that we're going to have to be aware of and take care of?
No,
'Cause
so
it's-
we already treat for corrosion control and
Okay.
manganese and iron over there as well, as the high school does also, because we had to put in, that was brought online, I'm going to say around 2019, 2020, we put in a manganese and iron treatment system at the middle high school.
Good.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. I guess we're good.
All right, very good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dave.
I guess one final question. Do you have
Yes.
any idea when this will be going out to bid?
Shelby and I will work on it. I'll have to speak with the engineer, probably, I would say within the month. We can get it out to bid and
Great.
get the process going.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. It just, if it goes substantially higher than anticipated, we are on a tight schedule with our ARPA
Right,
funds, so
well,
if that was to happen.
We'll get this moving as fast as we can. Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Have a great night.
You as well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Next on our agenda is a review of some annual town meeting articles. The first, we discussed briefly at a previous meeting, is the revolving fund. This is an article sent over by the school. Mr. Fennessy, have we voted to put this on the warrant yet?
I don't believe we did yet.
Okay, so I guess the first thing is there a motion to place this on the warrant?
Make the motion to place this on the warrant.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second discussion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I just had, I don't know if it's now or when we go to vote on it, but I had questions with regards to internal control functions here, with regards to how do we ensure that this thing is going to operate the way it is.
Normally, what we do is we take two separate votes. One is to place the item on the warrant.
Okay.
And then another one is to whether we recommend or don't recommend. This is just to place the item on the warrant. Okay.
Fine.
So, I guess, all in favor?
Sure.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. All right, now we'll get into discussion of the article itself. So, Mr. Carter.
Okay. So, have we found out anything about internal controls on how we're actually going to, the two columns to the far right, how we're going to monitor that? Or how does it get monitored?
By this, I would assume by the school finance director.
Yeah.
We'll-
And I think if I could just
we'll
interrupt,
see
I
it.
think for the people at home, before we get into discussion, I should probably read the informational summary of the article, just so people at home know
idea.
what we're talking about. So, informational summary is the Carver Schools Athletic Advertising Fund will allow the district to work with local businesses to advertise on school grounds, generating additional revenue to support the Carver Athletics program. All advertising materials should be approved prior to posting in accordance with school committee policy, which sets out standardized criteria to ensure the appropriateness of all ad content. All right, thank you. Sorry, Mr. Carter.
Sure. So again, I guess my question is should this, the idea of raising revenue from advertising makes sense, but I know both, I guess the town and the school probably pay fees to keep up our, parks and things like that. I just don't know if this should be in the revolving fund, or should it go into local receipts where then it gets split between the town and the school? And number two
Well-
is, I'd like to hear from the school on how they monitor the two far columns to the right. How do you guarantee that it's going to be used only for one purpose?
We have a number of revolving funds, like the recreation department too, that takes in money and, and that goes directly to the recreation department to pay the umpires, to do other things, that they put on programs and so forth. So this is very similar to that, is on the school side, to generate that income so that they can do more with the sports programs than what they're able to do now. So it really falls to the school itself on how they monitor it and, how they implement what they purchase and so forth.
And
And
if I could just interject, and isn't that administered by their finance director? The
Yes.
school's finance director?
Much like on the town side, we have in play our finance director and town administrator and others who oversee recreation, other departments that have these revolving funds, so.
But let's just say, 10 years from now, different select board, different school committee, different finance director, different superintendent. And this only works if the budget monies for maintenance, supplies, and equipment, say it's $100,000 a year. And this revolving funds brings in 50. So they're guaranteed to spend $150 a year, every single year, no matter what. No budget cuts, no nothing, no state aid, they have to spend it, right? Because otherwise, if they turn around and cut a budget
No,
by
but a revolving,
$50,000.
they don't have to spend a revolving every year. It doesn't have to deplete. It just revolves into the next year.
Which is fine.
So, yeah.
But now if an athletic budget dropped for whatever reason, and then they supplemented it with this money, the $50,000 that happens every single year, then that reduction of the budget can be used for something else.
Yeah, and I think part of what spurred this is a concern about reducing budgets, because usually the first things to go, the lower end, the sports and the music and the art and those things. So this is a way to make sure that they have some funds available to continue the sports programs.
So I have a question. So, John, you're saying that the 50,000, so it's not an automatic 50,000 every
It's
year?
not budgetary money.
Right, it's,
No.
it's what they bring in during advertising.
It's whatever they bring in.
Right.
And then all that money, finish your question, sorry.
Yep. So my question, so I think by, if I'm reading this correctly, by putting this in the way it's worded, this will make sure that salaries do not get used by these funds, whereas if there was advertising before, it could be in the general fund or whatever fund it is, that's when they can pull, if they see that they have to lay off a teacher, we'll just take it from this. This specifies that they can't touch that for salaries. Right. If
Well,
I'm
it's-
reading this correctly, right?
It specifies that it can't be touched for full-time salaries.
Oh,
Salaries or wages of full-time employees, right.
so it could be part-time.
Yeah, so that's, but
I guess, maybe I'm just not getting it, because I'm saying that, yes, it's a revolving fund. Yes, money that goes in there will then get used for this equipment. But what I'm saying is that if then the whole idea is that they fully spend money for the athletic department, no cuts, and this money, whatever they raise, goes on top of that, correct? That's what I'm assuming.
But this can only be spent for this purpose, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yes. yeah.
But if your budget drops, if you decide that instead of $100,000 on the athletic department, I don't have funds this year, I'm dropping it to 50 in the budget, because I have this money to spend, then that reduction can go right into the school budget in other areas, possibly salaries. I'm just saying, I don't think it would happen, but there's no way to monitor it.
but it doesn't say that. It says that the expenses payable from the fund are costs associated with the purchase and maintenance of supplies and equipment for the athletic
Which I
department.
get.
That's
That's very specific.
So it's pretty specific, and I guess for me, I mean, it's always a challenge with the school to support various things, and I just think that if this is a way that, through the sales of advertising, that they can help, keep the fields up and mitigate some of the charges they have to pass on to the student athletes, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
So I think I see what John's saying on this. So my question, which I'm sure none of us have an answer for right now, but that the maintenance of supplies and equipment for the athletic department, right now, what's that budget?
I don't know.
That's what he's
But if it
asking. So say it's
drops,
100,000.
Right, so if, like, it's 100,000.
It's 100,000.
So they can chop, so they got 50,000 in advertising this year.
Right.
This will give them the ability, let's take 50,000 out, because we're gonna have
That's what John's
50,000 coming in. That won't get touched.
I'm not saying they would
But-
do it,
right,
but I'm talking about
Right,
10
I mean,
years from
that's-
now.
I think
I
that's the
don't, I
scenario.
don't think
What is
that's the
that?
intent. I
Right.
think the intent
No.
is that what Mark, the chair, just said.
Sure.
To take the pressure off the parents of buying,
Yeah.
uniforms and equipment and maintaining them and so forth. Because it's money generated outside of the town coffers. It's outside money coming into them to use for that purpose.
Yeah.
So, but,
I agree. I think that's what it is.
I think budgets are always a sort of a living thing. If we find 2 or 3 or 4 years from now that for some reason they're bringing in enormous amounts of money from advertising, we can, it's something we can address at our annual budget meeting. But I think for now, it's just a way to help out a little bit.
I don't see that as a bad thing in a sense. I mean, if they're able to raise supplemental funds.
Right,
That's a
absolutely.
good thing. They're able to bring in extra monies for their purposes. That's sounds like it's a great idea.
Because I know that's been discussed for a while, especially with the baseball and softball field now has a fence that they're looking to put signs on that. Something in the football as well, and this is why it's kind of
Well,
coming up.
what Kingston does is they've got, if you go to those fields, it's massive. They've got night lights for the night play, and they've got
Yep.
everything, which is great to use it for that.
Right, yep.
And I guess I should add that the school committee voted in favor of this 5-0. I think that was a previous article of discussion. We wanted to wait until the school committee voted, until we had a school committee vote on this. So they did
Are we
vote to
taking
support it.
Are we taking a vote on it tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless there's some reason not to. In fact, I would, at this point, I would ask if there's a motion.
I'll make a motion to put this article on the warrant.
Well, it's
Well,
to
it's
approve.
already-
It's
Oh,
already-
I'll
we're
make a
making
motion to approve, to recommend this
To
article.
recommend, yeah, thank you.
I'll second that.
We have
Give it
a
to Dan.
motion and a second to recommend. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion?
I just want to talk to the superintendent and to the school business manager about it to alleviate my concerns on how this is going to work, so.
Didn't you give this to us at the last meeting, Mr. Fennessy?
What was that?
Didn't we have this at the last meeting?
Yeah, we did,
Yeah.
but we didn't vote on it.
No, I understand, but we've had it for a while. Yeah.
We didn't vote on it because the school committee hadn't voted on it yet. We wanted to wait till we had a school committee vote. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of recommending this article?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
4 to 1.
I need more information.
Okay, thank you. All right, next is the group health insurance for eligible employees and retirees. And I will read that informational summary. In 2016, the town obtained special legislation to authorize the town to pay 75% of the cost of the premium for group health insurance coverage provided by the town to an eligible retiree who retires not later than June 30th, 2025, and who elects coverage under the town's group health insurance, and 50% for such costs for employees retiring after June 30th, 2025. The Select Board has determined that for the town to remain competitive in the employment market, it should continue paying 75% of the costs for retiree health insurance after June 30th, 2025. And the full text of Chapter 178 of the Acts of 2016 may be reviewed at, and there's a website here. Mr. Fennessy, I'll ask that you put the website up on our town webpage if any residents would like to review it. All right. So again, have we taken a vote to put this item on the warrant?
Do you recall?
I think you took a vote like 3 months ago.
I thought we took a vote to put it on the warrant, but we didn't take a vote whether to recommend or not. All right, do we know that for sure? We know we did? Okay. All right, so I would open this for discussion. I know there was quite a bit of discussion the last time.
So,
Mr. Ryan.
So the question would be, given, we need to come up with a balanced budget, where are we in that process in the sense of what is this going to cost us in addition each year, and has that actually been factored into the budget yet, and are we balanced yet, and do we want to get to that point before we...
So, if I may, through you, Mr. Chair, so it doesn't cost us anything, because that's where we're at right now, is 75 and 25.
Okay.
So there's no additional cost on July 1st, 2025.
Okay.
Going beyond that, so right now, there's 41 retirees for the town that would be affected, not affected by this, because they're already grandfathered. But we have 41 retirees. And just to give a...
I'm sorry, eligible retirees?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And so a 75-25 split right now is the average town retiree pays $53.08 per year for their portion. And the average town cost is $15,920. And that covers all 41 employees, retirees. With a 50-50 split, it would go from $53.08 for $5,308 per retiree for the year to $10,614 per year. And on the town side, it would jump from
15, 20?
10,000, no,
It would drop.
it would drop, yeah, it would
50,
drop.
so from
It would drop
15,920.
to that amount, 5308
15,920
per
down
year.
to 10,614.
Yep. So the problem that we have and what we're looking at is that a number of good employees who are looking at this, looking to retire early, to jump into the grandfathered section on July 1st, 2025, prior to that. And and many are from our public service area.
Public safety.
I'm sorry, public safety area, and many are from the school area too. So it's something, that these people were hired at knowing that it was 75-25. Maybe some have some newer ones that aren't going to retire for quite a while after this went into effect, several years ago. But the feeling is that if it stays if it stays as is, a number of employees will retire early.
And a number of really, how do I put it, significance, the wrong word, but every employee is significant, but we're going to lose some department heads that you may feel are quite important to the town.
So
So
can I
that's the
summarize real quick?
question.
So you're saying we're at 75-25 now?
Yes.
And as of July 1st, it'll go to 50-50?
Of 2025,
Of 2025,
next year.
yes.
Yep.
Unless we take action.
Yeah,
and then,
so, and to take action, it would be the same as how we went in. You'd have to have a board vote here, and then a town meeting vote approval, and then a state legislature approval. And then it would revert back to the original.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, one of the things that I always had trouble with the 50/50 is that all these employees were hired at 75/25. And so they went into it with the assumption that that's what they would get when they retired. And to sort of jerk the rug out from under them at this point is almost cruel, I think. And again, we're going to lose some very significant people if it stays at 50/50.
And I just,
And if I may, I'm
sure.
sorry.
No, go right ahead.
I just want to mention too that, and it only affects the town and the employee for that period from when they retire to the point when they're on Medicare. So if they retire at 55, because a lot of public safety people can retire at 55, then it's a 10-year where they would be paying this additional cost.
Sort of a bridge period.
Right.
But as you say, that's what we're doing now, so it's not really
So there's no
increasing that.
increase in the budget going forward.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Carver.
Questions? So yeah, it's not costing us anymore, but in the days where we're hitting deficits right now, that could be a $200,000 savings.
Yeah, but these are employees' retirement. This is what they
I understand.
will have
But
at
that's
a crucial
part-
point in their lives.
And then what is our unfunded OPEB number right now, and what does this change do to it?
I don't have the figure in front of me.
So it could increase
Yeah,
substantially.
but again, because it only affects people who are looking to retire after July 1st, 2025. So that, how many, it depends, how many retire and get into that
Is that something we
after.
get from the board?
And these 41, and maybe more, will be locked out of that. So then, it would, if we only have 41 now, and it took all these years to get to 41, there's not a lot of people retire out of the town of Carver. Because generally you retire out of the last town you work in, city. And that may be somebody who, if this went to 50/50, they'd be looking to move into a town or a city that had 75/25. And at one time, they used to actually have 90/10 in different towns, so it's gone downwards to where it is now.
Well, going on that, have we talked about a different ratio? The 50/50 seems strong. What about a 60/40 or a 30/70? Have we ran numbers on that?
I don't know, but you can just figure that out, that's,
So can you
Pretty-
get numbers on what it would do to OPEB, our unfunded liability for health insurance, if we change to this?
yeah, I don't think it changes because these people are locked in.
Okay,
So it's,
Probably right,
if you're
but we-
just thinking in terms of like what a pie in the sky 20 years from now would be, I don't know if they can really figure that out. Because you don't know how many people are going to retire out of Carver.
And this just covers them until they get into Medicare.
Right, till it's 65.
Yeah.
Mr. Hoffman.
So I have a question. So let's say there are 20 people that are going to retire because of this now. And realistically, if this does get approved, they won't be retiring come June 30th or July 1st of this year. They'll just continue to work. So that really doesn't affect the budget per se, right? Because whether
Right.
they
Yeah, the
retire
budget,
now, June 30th or 5 years from now, that would still be the same amount, right?
Yeah,
it's only for existing retirees.
Right, for existing.
right. These say 41, or maybe a few, well, maybe 51 by then, or 60, that make it into that window, the grandfathered section.
Okay, and then I think we've talked about this before too, that any new employees, the split that they've been getting is more in the 75-25 anyways, right?
Right.
So, because I see what John's trying to say, like, what's that number we're trying to look at? And realistically, if people stay on, the number won't get affected because we would have paid them 2025 when they retire.
If they stay on beyond July 1st, 2025.
Right.
Then, and they retire out of Carver, then they're paying 50/50.
Right.
The way it is now.
No, they'll be changed to 50/50 if they retire after July 1, 2025. So that's what's pushing them to say, well, I'm retiring June 30th.
Right, well, that's what I'm trying to say. If we
2024.
change it, then they won't.
They won't, they'll stay on
Right,
until they reach the age of
okay.
maturity.
So I don't think the
So to
number's as
speak.
big as we think it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
it's not, yeah.
there still is a number, but it's not as big because I think people will be staying on and they were entitled, whether they retire.
And then they get closer to 65 anyway.
It'll
you know,
become
once-
less.
Less time.
Yeah, and I just think sometimes that it goes beyond numbers, and I think that
Yeah.
really the numbers are important, and of course they're important, but really important is that we keep good people
Yeah.
on as long as we can, and I think that's in everyone's best interest here in Carver. So I think that's an important reason to support this, is to just keep those good people that we have in place. So.
I agree.
And if I might add myself, that I don't have any skin in the game, just so you know, if I sound like I'm siding on one side, because I already had filed my retirement through another town, so that's not, this is not benefiting me in any way.
Okay. Is there anything else from the board on this?
Nope.
All right. Is there a motion to recommend this article?
I make a motion to recommend this article, the home rule petition regarding group health insurance for eligible employees and retirees, and eligible retirees.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. All right. Next is the Finance Committee bylaw. And this could be our most discussed item ever on a select board meeting, at least while I've been on the select board. I don't believe we have ever taken a vote to put this on the warrant. Is that correct?
Has this been on the warrant? I don't think it has.
No.
So is there a motion to place this on the warrant?
Just a question before you do that. If we do amend it, would that be fine? Can we vote to put it on the warrant and then vote to amend it?
Yeah,
after that?
we vote to just put a Finance Committee bylaw amendment on the
Okay.
warrant, not necessarily this
this one.
Finance Committee bylaw
Okay.
amendment. But
Thank you.
okay, so is there a motion to put this article on the warrant?
Sure, I'll make a motion to put this article on the warrant. Only because of the fact that we do have errors, right? We've got the whole stipend issue that needs to get cleaned up.
Yeah, and remember, there were already 2 citizens petitions to address this on the warrant.
Oh, there is.
So,
And I'll second that.
all right, we have a motion and a second. There's discussion on placing it on the warrant. Mr.
That was my question. So there are two, if we vote not to put this on, there are 2 other citizens participation,
Citizens petitions.
I'm sorry, citizen,
I said the same thing.
you know what I meant.
Yep.
Citizen petitions concerning the Finance Committee bylaw.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe there are 2, correct? No.
So if we accept this, if we approve it, now there'll be 3.
Wow.
Okay. I
But
just
if
wanna
if we don't, then I guess at town meeting, you've got these other 2 that could be changed, manipulated, or whatnot, and then it gets voted and we have no say.
Right.
Versus if we go out and say, this is what we, the select board, feel, these townspeople can turn
Exactly
around and
right.
say,
That-
hey.
This gives us an opportunity to make a recommendation to town meeting.
Correct.
Any further discussion on placing it on the warrant? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Okay. There are some corrections in here, and I believe they are bolded. And I know we've we had this earlier.
Yes.
And I think everyone had a chance to review it. And I think it's probably the best way to do it. Just one second, Mr. Ryan, just because it's such a complicated item that we go through each part individually, 4.3.1 and so on.
And vote on them separately?
I think we could vote on them separate, yeah. Just in case the board, there may be a difference of opinion on one part or the other.
Okay.
So we probably should start it at the top
I'll
and
make a
address
motion to-
4.3.1.
I'll make a motion to approve 431 as written, which adds "and vice chair." So make a motion to approve that.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion on 4.3.1. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous, and forgive me for 1 second because I failed to read the informational summary for folks at home, so I just want to go through that. So this article proposes amendments to the Finance Committee bylaw to clarify the role of the committee, to authorize its members to receive a stipend, subject to town meeting approval and appropriation, and to further define who is eligible to serve. So that is the informational summary. All right, so the next item on here is 4.3.4.
I'd like to make a motion to strike, should said board disagree with the recommendations of the Finance Committee. So approve.
Sorry, what line are you
434.
in?
So it's the bold part that's been added that didn't exist
Okay.
before. So I'm making a motion to, I guess, accept 434 with an amendment to strike the words that say, should said board disagree with the recommendation of the Finance Committee. And just, you put a period after select board before that.
Okay. I'll second that amendment.
All right, we have a motion and a second on 4.3.4. Is there any further discussion? Anyone? Mr. Carter? No? All right. All in favor of 4.3.4 as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. It is unanimous. Thank you. All right. 4.3.6. And again, town meeting voted to give the Finance Committee a stipend. No?
No, last year, the Finance Committee bylaw that was proposed was suspended on town meeting floor.
But hasn't the Finance Committee been receiving a stipend?
It was presented as a recommendation by the Governance Committee,
Okay.
and it was approved by the Select Board.
Okay, but they currently, right now, they do not receive a stipend?
Not
I
the
believe,
whole committee.
I believe they do.
No.
I thought they did.
They do.
Did you get one when you,
When, I think the last year I was on.
oh, maybe they did.
I got one when
Okay.
I was
I got
on.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that hasn't
The chair
changed.
receives one. Were you the chair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And Mark received one? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I thought I did. It's been so long
I'm pretty-
ago now, I
I'm
might
pretty
be
sure
wrong.
they get
But
it.
Bill, do they?
Our office doesn't pay it, I think. Finance.
Yep.
Ex-finance committee person in the back row.
They
But
do.
maybe the concern
Yeah.
was that it's not
Could-
written in
I'm
the-
sorry, could you speak to that? Do you currently receive a stipend? Would you just come up to the microphone for 1 second, please? Would you mind? Maybe you could help us out a little bit with this. If you could just
Bill
introduce yourself.
Pelham, I'm
for
a
folks. Thank you.
former Finance Committee member. My last term ended in June. I was always offered one, $150, each of the 3 years I served.
Okay, so you were offered a stipend?
Yes.
And you were just a member,
Yes.
correct? Okay, thank you. I thought that was the way it was.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve 436 as written with the bold.
Second.
Discussion.
Yep, Absolutely.
I'm very unclear on the phrase that says, "and so listed in the appendix, elected officials." The Finance Committee is not elected.
No, they're not.
I'm not sure why that's in there, but maybe that's where it's listed.
Well, maybe we just say
So
may
maybe
receive a
elected.
stipend determined by a vote of the town
At
at their annual town meeting.
And members may be reimbursed for actual expenses, et cetera.
Right, maybe that's
cut
the way
that
to address
phrase.
that.
So you want that amended to
Yeah.
read, may receive a stipend determined by a vote of the town at their annual town meeting, period, Or just say and
And
members
members
may
may-
be reimbursed
yeah.
for actual expenses incurred.
That's what I'm
in the
suggesting,
discharge
yeah.
of their, okay. I'll amend my motion to amend this for that.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
So do other committees, that the members reimbursed for actual expenses occurred in the discharge of their official duties?
I'm
Is that
not
listed
aware of
anywhere?
that, no.
Yeah, I had a question on that.
So I don't understand why that would be in there.
I don't know what, if they go to maybe a conference or something?
Mileage,
or-
yeah.
Yeah, but the town would pay for that
Mileage.
conference, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
if it's related.
Are they being reimbursed for mileage and things like that?
I think that's what it refers to.
Is there a town policy right now if a member of any board or committee goes to a certain,
Yes. There is. They get mileage, don't they? We used to.
Not mileage.
I don't know if it's a policy, but there's a form you can fill out.
I just remember back in the day, there used to be
Yeah.
like toner and paper, and people would use their own personal expenses. They would submit a bill. Most people didn't,
And
but you
if I
could.
recall,
Yeah,
the mileage doesn't really pay for your mileage. It's,
Right.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, I mean, it's,
that much.
who put the language in?
I don't
that
know.
was Mr. Germain.
I
This
don't
was
know.
what
Okay.
Mr. Germain
Oh, this
submitted
was
to
his,
us.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I could change,
Yeah.
I could withdraw the motion and just not add the part for reimbursement.
yeah, maybe you should just say, may receive a stipend determined by a vote of the town at their annual town meeting. Um,
Like if they want to, is that what-
Reimbursed, yeah. And Elaine just brought up that, so if, say, they were gonna go to the MMA meeting or something, how would they get reimbursed? Generally, if the town administrator sends somebody to a conference or a meeting or something, then we pick up the cost of that.
That's what I thought.
You know,
Yeah.
so, but it's in general, I don't know, this is more broad
Yeah,
than that.
it is very
It's
broad, and it
almost
might
like-
be hard to determine, sort of leaves open.
And I
Who
don't
knows
recall
what
that
those-
language in any other
Right.
committee.
But you would know in
charge.
practice that other committees don't submit reimbursements?
I've never seen one from anybody.
Well, I would recommend that we limit it to just the stipend. And would the board be comfortable with wording with just, the 4.3.6 reads, the members of the finance committee may receive a stipend as determined by a vote of the town at their annual town meeting, period?
Yeah, so
Do
moved.
people
I think
feel
I
comfortable with
think I already
that?
made that motion, but
You may very well have.
do you have that? So-
We have a
You made the
motion.
motion?
So if they go to a conference, they can't get reimbursed?
Well, again, I think if the town administrator authorized it,
Okay.
yeah, not me, whoever, yeah.
Well, really, anything they go to should be
Yeah.
requested by them.
Yeah,
All right, we have a motion. I don't remember whether we have a second. Do we have a second?
you had,
Okay.
Jim,
all right.
John seconded it.
All right. Motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. And finally, 4.3.7.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make an amendment to this, if
To
I could.
4.3.7? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I think, if I recall, there were two concerns, at least that I've had, about Finance Committee members also sitting on other boards, commission, and committees. I remember it was either, I think it was the year 2020 or 2021, we passed a bylaw that said if you're on one permitting committee, board, or commission, you can't be on another permitting one. So to me, that's still in effect, and to me, that's obviously very important. But I think I had a few people make the case to me that if we insert a phrase about members having to recuse themselves, if they are sitting on another board, commission, or committee, then it's in the bylaw that they have to do that, and we don't wonder if they did it or worry about conflict. So my amendment, for what it's worth, is that Finance Committee members may sit on another board, committee, or commission, but must recuse themselves from any Finance Committee vote on the budget of that board, committee, or commission.
So you're taking out the portion that says the
may not, yeah.
select board has...
Yeah, I know, it's hard to believe. And you may not go for this, but I think that that's a way to allow people to, be on the finance committee and something else. If they're on a committee that doesn't have a budget, obviously, that presents no conflict. I think our concern, at least mine, was that someone voting on their own budget. We don't realize they're on this other committee, and one hopes that people will be honest, but I think if it's codified in the bylaw that they have to recuse themselves, then that allows more people to serve.
Could you just read that one more time?
Sure. The finance committee members may sit on another board, committee, or commission, but must recuse themselves from any finance committee vote on the budget of that board, committee, or commission. That way it also takes us out of it. What if you have a board that comes in that isn't as meticulous as we are about these things? We've gone over this many times. It just kind of puts an end to all the questions. Well, who's doing what when? And we've heard a lot of people say that we need people to be able to serve on multiple things.
I was just going to add, as part of that, maybe, I think oversight is good, so in one other town did this, I found it, I think it's Plimpton or something, where they involved the select board to make that decision, but maybe we still have it the way it is, but then add to it, said member must recuse themselves from any, so keep what's in here for language, but then add another sentence that says said member must recuse themselves for any, vote on any financial matters for the board that they are, involved with.
Well, if you keep
Maybe
it the way
leave both in?
If you keep it the way it is, then they can't sit on another board, committee, or commission.
Unless the select board approves. That's what it's saying. So somebody comes here, say they're on I shouldn't pick a example, but so say somebody is serving on another group that has a budgetary item that needs to be voted on. So this is saying the select board would have to make that exception to allow them because of the situation of we're always trying to get members and it's tough. But then you strengthen that by saying that said member is not authorized. I think that makes a lot of sense. What you're saying is that just because we have approved that person to be on that board doesn't mean we're authorizing them to vote on a budget that's related. So adding yours, as another sentence, your amendment is just a sentence that's saying said member may not vote on any monetary.
That adds an extra layer.
It adds the extra layer, so it gives you both.
Yeah, let's just say must recuse him or herself.
Must recuse yourself.
Yeah.
So that would be my suggestion, would be to
Yeah, that's
leave this,
good.
but then add yours as another
like that.
sentence in there.
That's good.
Mr. Ryan, could you read that in total, or give
Well,
us what it would be in
If
total?
Ms. Hewens wouldn't mind just amending hers to add her, to add that sentence.
So
to
it would be the
end.
finance committee members may not sit on another board, committee, or commission without approval of the select board or bylaw requiring a finance committee representative, and said member must recuse him or herself from any finance committee vote on the budget of that board, committee, or commission on which they sit.
Okay.
On budget and any other matter, any other financial matters?
Yeah, financial matter. Thank you.
All right, we have an amended motion.
Yes.
Do we have a second on that amended motion?
Second.
All right,
Committee.
discussion. Mr. Costa.
I'm
sorry.
Go ahead. I'm just old school. I just think that they should not be in another committee because they're on the finance committee. That's
Well,
what
John,
I'm used
I've
to.
been that way for years. I know what you're saying.
Yep.
As I said, though, I've had a number of people come up to me and say, look, if we do that, we're going to lose this person, we're going to lose that person,
Yeah.
and they recuse themselves now. So why don't you just make it so they have to? Just put it in there. And I kind of got talked into it. It makes sense. I mean, we do get, complaints saying we don't get enough people volunteering, and this may help a little. I don't know. And Mr. Collin will tell you, way back when we had our committee of 2 select board members and 2 finance committee members, and we couldn't come to an agreement because the 2 select board members said, no, you shouldn't be on another one. So I totally get what you're saying. I'm
Mr.
hoping
Hoffman.
this will help.
My only question is with the language without the approval of the select board. So realistically, someone applies for the finance committee, two people apply for the finance committee that are on other committees. The select board can choose one to be on it and another person not to be on it.
Well, I think it would depend.
Depends on who
I mean,
you
it would depend, they could be on two different committees, so maybe the select board may look at it and say, well, you know, you sitting on the finance committee and committee A, we don't see a conflict there. But they might.
Say if they're both on the same committee, they're both on the same committee and they both want to be on finance committee as well. Realistically,
It depends if that committee or commission or board that they're on, the way it reads now, if they have a budget.
I'm saying that they're both two members of the whatever.
Well, it depends on, the whatever is important, because some committees don't have budgets.
Well, no, I'm saying the two people come up and want to be on the FinCom.
How many openings are there?
There's 5 openings, so there's
Okay.
plenty of openings. They both are on the same committee that has a budget.
Okay.
The select board could pick you and not pick you.
Why would they?
Personality, anything.
Well, I actually don't like the phrase without the approval of the select board.
I just.
Mr. Ryan likes the oversight. I'm willing to go with it.
And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because, again, it's not that the board would do it, but again, future boards, you never know. Somebody could, I think it just eliminates that
But again,
element.
the board could do that right now, because the board has veto authority over a town administrator appointment. So if that could happen right now, and somebody could bring to the board that, hey, we want to veto applicant A, but we don't want to veto applicant B. So that situation could happen right now if we did absolutely nothing. And so it exists now, and I've never seen that.
Okay, no,
happen.
I'm just bringing
Yeah.
being a devil's advocate, that's all, for that phrase, that's all.
Couple of things here, just, yeah.
I know.
So I guess maybe it's the fact that we served on the finance committee. I mean, I'm with Mr. Carter. I always have. I think people know that here. I've always felt that if you're on the finance committee, you're on the finance committee, and that committee is so important that you just shouldn't serve anywhere else.
Correct.
But again, this discussion's been going on for years here in this room, and Ms. Hewens has a good point. A number of other people have made it as well, that we do have trouble getting volunteers for different boards or committees. And there may be committees out there where there isn't a conflict, and you could serve on the finance committee and whatever that board is. And this change, and remember, this change was submitted, it came from Alan Germain, the chairman of the finance committee. That's where this came from.
I don't think this section did. I don't think he would have written that.
I think it did.
I think it did too.
I think it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
I think it did.
Okay.
And I believe you were at a meeting where it got brought up, I think, but,
Okay.
by Mr. Fennessy, that's what I'm referring to, but
I
just.
think you're right. He added the without approval of the select board phrase.
Yeah, and I just think that this is a way of trying to find some common ground and getting past this. Again, recognizing that something is probably going to happen, because it's going to be, there are 2 other citizens petitions.
Well, that's the
on-
thing. It would be nice for us to have something we
Yes.
agree on.
Right.
And
And with the finance committee, so if all of us are on the
Yes.
same page, it'll help.
And the fact of the matter is, the current bylaw is wrong. The way it reads, there are errors in there that need to be corrected anyway.
Yeah.
So,
And just so you know too, I just looked up, so there's presently 5 members on the board, and it can be up to 11. So,
So we'll show it.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
yep, I think there was some discussion, sorry, Mr. Fennessy, there was some discussion at one time about also changing that number within this bylaw, about changing it from 11 to 7 or 9 or whatever. And I just think people decided not to do that. And
It's too much.
yeah, it's just too much at one time, that's all. I'm sorry, Mr. Fennessy.
No, I was just going to make the point that for it to get to the select board, it's already got to get by the town administrator. So it's a 2-prong approval.
Right.
Yeah.
To sit on other committees and be on the finance committee.
It's a very good point.
So,
Thank you.
So the town administrator, the moderator, and the FinCom chairman appoint members.
Mhm.
Okay.
And in this case, if there was somebody who was on another committee or commission, then it would have to come before us, and we'd have to make that override decision. And in some cases, like we said, the language might be too strong. Maybe somebody's on a committee that has nothing to do with finances, and we'd say, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah. But if they do sit on a committee that has a budget,
We'd have to,
now they know they have to recuse themselves.
That's right.
It's just very clear.
yeah. Seems fine.
Do we have an agreement on language that we can vote on as a board?
I think we have a motion on the floor in a
I
second.
think we do. Could Ms. Weston, could you read that back, the motion that we have?
So you're going to keep the addition, sorry. Keep the addition of the wording, the finance committee members may not sit on another board, committee, or commission without approval of the select board or bylaw requiring a finance committee representative. Then you're going to add a new sentence. Said member must recuse him or herself on any finance committee vote on the budget or financial matter of that board, committee, or commission
Okay,
On which they sit, yes.
on which they sit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I have a
Thanks.
typo
Thank
that
you.
needs to be
Yep.
fixed, but I'll do that as a second motion,
Okay.
if you want. Make it easier.
Well, no, I think we may as well, is it in this section?
It is.
Yeah, we may as well include that. right
Where
now.
it says, any registered voter of the town shall be eligible for appointment to the finance committee except for, not that, any regular full or part-time town employee, period. So the word "that" should be changed to "for." That's
No,
I was going to make a
No,
separate
just get
motion.
rid of that. Except any
You could do it that way, too.
except any regular full or
Strike the word
part-time
that.
town employee. Yeah.
That was going to be another motion, but if you want
Yeah.
to lump it together as a...
I
Yeah,
think
let's do it all together.
do it all together, yeah. All right. Any other comment on that particular change? All right. Any other comment on 4.3.7 at all?
So can you read the beginning again, because that had me confused? So that any registered voter of the town shall be eligible for appointment to the finance committee,
Except any
Except-
regular full or
Except-
part-time town employee.
any regular,
Just add a strike through to that.
okay.
Or- Yeah.
Yep.
Are you clear? Mr. Hoffman, you good? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Can I just discuss
Yeah,
one thing?
absolutely.
One thing real quick, and kind of go off topic a little bit, but on that first line, why are we not letting regular full or part-time town employees sit on the FinCom
Because they're being paid,
by the town?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And they
It's
have
like
an
having
inherent
Financial
conflict.
yeah.
interest, yeah. I mean, technically, you could say, well, they could just recuse themselves from their own departmental budget,
Right.
but
But they are being paid by the town, so that could be a
Yeah,
strong...
Sometimes the appearance is
Yeah.
Okay, no,
important.
and I'm just looking for more ways for more people
Oh,
to
absolutely.
be, and I thought that
know.
if someone from whatever department in town hall, or fireman or policeman or something like that wanted to be on it,
yeah.
if that budget for their said job came up, they would have to recluse themselves, but
But working, if I may, working with other town department heads, there's that camaraderie that you may not look at it, like step back, there's always that concern that,
okay, no, I just want
Yeah.
to throw it out, that's a question I
That's
always
a
had
good
about
point.
that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of 4.3.7 as amended?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
3-2?
3-2.
Okay. All right.
Generate some more talk at town meeting?
That's just that section, though.
Oh, is that
Yes,
just that
just that
section?
section.
That section.
So are we doing the
Ooh.
recommendation of
Yeah,
the entire?
I think we should. Yeah, I think we should have a vote to recommend the entire Finance Committee bylaw. Is there a motion?
I move that we recommend the entire Finance Committee bylaw as amended here tonight.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion on that. Here.
How does that go? Meaning, we're not going to show individual votes, or do we show individual votes on each section?
Yeah, I think we
You
show,
can, yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
yeah, I think we could show individual votes on each section and a vote in total, sure.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
4 to 1, correct? Okay.
Correct.
All right. Our final town meeting warrant article for the evening is the Mullen Rule. And let me see here if I can just get to the informational summary. It's quite a long informational summary. Mr. Fennessy, actually, I'll just read
So
the
you
actual.
can read where it says move. That's the kind of
Yeah, I'm just going to read the actual, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 23D, in its present form and as subsequently amended for boards, committees, and commissions holding adjudicatory, I know that's wrong, hearings in the town, which statute provides that when a public body holds an adjudicatory, thank you, hearing, any member thereof shall not be disqualified from voting in the matter solely due to that member's absence from no more than a single session of the hearing at which testimony or other evidence is received, provided that before any such vote, the member shall certify in writing that the member has examined all evidence received at the missed session, which evidence shall include an audio or video recording of the missed session or a transcript thereof, or take any other action relative thereto. All right. Mr. Fennessy, can you just briefly review the Mullen Rule for the members?
Yeah, so this is if those, like the Planning Board or the Conservation Commission or others that are looking at issuing a permit or something, this gives the ability to somebody who misses one meeting out of all the meetings, because a lot of times they're over a period of time and they can't make all the meetings. And what's happened is that occasionally you get somebody who missed meetings, multiple people at different times, and it handcuffs the vote on passing something. So this would give the ability to still be able to vote on something if you miss one meeting, but only one meeting. And then, as it says, then you have to make sure that you review all the information that came out of that meeting that you missed.
Right now you can't, right? Right now if you miss a meeting, you
Yeah,
can't vote.
You're pulled out, yeah.
Okay. And again, if we pass this, somebody would actually have to sign to acknowledge that they reviewed that information.
So what problem is not having this rule in causing us now?
So if there's a committee of 5, say, and over a period of 3 months or 2 months, or whatever it takes for a plan to be approved, and somebody misses a meeting, then somebody else misses another meeting, and then somebody else misses another meeting, you lost your quorum for that, because they can't vote on that.
Okay.
So
That's happening now.
this probably has, and then they start all over again, I guess.
Well, the other thing too is if you miss the first meeting, you can't sit on the subsequent hearings. Because I know when I was a planning board,
Yeah.
if someone had missed a meeting, well, you
So you
can't-
sit out. yeah,
Right, so
yeah.
then you sit out. This way, if you have to miss a meeting, you can go to the second on that hearing.
But you can only miss one meeting out of all of them.
And who
led up
monitors
to.
that?
Who what?
Who monitors that?
Would be the chair of the
The chairman's
committee.
going to maintain a little absentee list of who
Yeah.
was there and when.
So
Which
it'll
they
be
have
the
already,
chair,
because
and it'll
they
be in the
would've-
minutes
they would've
who
excluded the
attends.
person. And this is for every committee, though. This is what this is voting on,
Yeah.
for all committees and boards and...
It just seems today with Area 58 and so many meetings recorded and available on video, that to me, this makes a lot of sense, because if someone's ill or for whatever reason, they can review everything that happened in the meeting, and again, they have to certify in writing that they've done that. So.
Okay. Do you need a motion first to place this?
Yes,
on the
first
warrant?
we need a motion to put this article on the warrant.
So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Is there a motion to recommend this article?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. So that is the end of our portion of the meeting reviewing town meeting articles. So we'll move on to a discussion on possible vote to schedule a new date for annual town meeting. So this came about in discussion with the town administrator and the interim finance director, the chairman of the finance committee. There was, and Mr. Federley, you could go into a little more detail, but I think with all the changeover we've had in town, with a new finance director coming in, with a new computer system, with a lot of different things, it just seems that it would be helpful if we gave town departments a little more time to work on items to prepare for town meeting. And Mr. Fennessy, I'll let you elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. With the change of losing town finance director and putting in a new financial software system that has taken months to get caught up on, and working with a very part-time interim finance director who's only here basically 2 to 3 days per week. And we're lucky we have them because it's very difficult to find somebody to come in. But we're at a point where we're making cuts in various budgets, and it's taking time to look at where these cuts are coming from, as well as getting the proper information from the state on revenue that comes in, and having a town meeting so early in the budget year. That kind of cripples the ability to know exactly how much money in revenues that the town is pulling in and able to use for the departmental budget. So it's a recommendation of basically everybody who's involved in the financial aspect to move it to a later date, preferably late May or early June, and have town meeting. And many, and if I might say most town meetings occur in late May to June 30th, in that window, because over years, they've changed their town meetings to go into it later so they can get all this information, not be rushed to try and just pick a number of revenue and then have to maybe have another town meeting to fix that. So that's my recommendation, and it's the recommendation of the interim finance director, who has been in a number of towns, and he actually said this is the earliest he's ever seen for a town meeting.
Yeah. And I spoke with all the department heads, and nobody has opposition. They all stated that this would not cause them any issues. And as Mr. Fennessy will tell you, I personally went through a lot of thought on myself, because I think it's I'm reluctant to set precedent by setting a town meeting date and then changing the town meeting date. That's not something I think we as a board can take lightly. But in this case, with so many different things sort of coming together this year, I think it makes some sense, which is why I thought the board needed to discuss it. And I also think if it's something we're going to do, we need to do it sooner rather than later. We need to give everybody warning that we're going to do that.
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Ewens.
If I may, I know that, I'm sure it may have happened when you were a select board member previously, Mr. Ryan, but I know that we've often had town meeting dates in May and June for the very reason that, for one reason, important reason, you know more what the state cherry sheet is going to look like and what our state aid is going to be. I mean, they often don't get the budget done when they're supposed to, but at least we're closer to knowing what we're going to be getting. So I don't have a problem with it at all, and I think if it makes all the people who are working on our budget more comfortable, I'm all for that.
Mr. Ryan.
One concern, of course, would be that people relax and then don't work on the budget, and we get to May or June, and now we still got the same issue.
I think we can trust them to get it done.
Well, I mean, that's just a concern I would raise, that, not that we shouldn't move it, it's the date that we want to pick, but I wouldn't want people to step back and say, oh, I don't have to do anything too much now, because we can coast a little bit. I think we still need to be diligent, because there's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Yeah, and I want to ensure everybody that nobody's coasting here, because there's just a lot of things, a lot of fixing and a lot of changing and a lot of reductions that are being made, and we don't take that lightly when we're dealing with departmental budgets.
Well, separately, we moved town meeting back before the elections for a reason. And it works for 7 years without any problems. We know state aid numbers change. It's the history of the budgetary process. We know we've got seasoned administrators here that usually can get the percentage or get the state aid down to a pretty finite number that doesn't change much. Can anyone tell me when we had an early meeting in April and that we had a drastic change in our money coming from the state that caused any issues? I mean, I don't think we have.
Well, it may have worked well
Sorry,
for...
but I'm concerned that I'm a little bit frustrated because it started back in November. Okay, and all the changes that we made were changes as a management division we did. So we had an advisory committee board that was disbanded. That would have helped to keep us on track. So that's gone. So I'm concerned that we're going to be in the same boat, not knowing our numbers 12 weeks from now than we are now. That's my concern. So I would not be, if we want to move it, if you want to do it before the election, I don't know, the election is what, the 27th, that's a Saturday? So town meeting on the 23rd, move it out a couple weeks.
That's not going to help.
Then,
2 weeks?
Then,
No.
yeah.
So
I
if I
just
can
think
just-
it needs to get done. How about this? Why don't we level fund the whole budget? We'll level fund the whole
John.
budget. We'll put everything into the
John.
If you want to
stabilization
cut
fund.
40
I would say don't cut.
positions, then we can level fund
Yeah.
it.
I would say level
I mean,
fund, don't
that's-
cut, come back in
that's up to the
November.
board. It's
Come
not
back
up
in
to me.
November and do
Yeah.
a full budget with a new TA, a new finance director, and don't lay anybody off.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may interject, it's true we've been doing this for 7 years, but the prior 200 years or so, they had town meeting at various times of the year, and it doesn't hurt anything to get a little more information. Wait a little while, have people more prepared, and get more information.
So just a quick question. So we're taking votes on articles like tonight as a select board, and so if we do turn over, what does that mean? Does that mean that the board has to revisit every article because you'll have different membership potentially? Would well, you can't go in and say the board voted 5-0 because then the new members
That's
wouldn't.
what we used to do,
Well, the new
Dan.
members would not have had
That's what
the.
happened
That's right.
historically. I mean,
That's historically exactly what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if there were new members, they could certainly speak out at town meeting like anyone else and
Say we
give
disagree.
give their thoughts on an article. And if I could, I think, I see Mr. Carter's point. I just think that we had a couple of things happen this year that I certainly don't recall happening even back to when I was on the finance committee, and that's that we have a new finance director and a new computer system that all the department heads are still getting up to speed on, and it just seems to me that if we can give everybody a little more time, and that prevents us from having to make a cut that maybe we didn't have to make, then it's a good thing. That's all.
So, question. So when we pick this next date, I think what we have to take into consideration is we're going to have a new town administrator probably at that time. We have a new finance director.
A new board, or, well, maybe.
We could have a new,
I hope not.
right. But the finance director and the town administrator, again, if we're looking at June, I'm not pushing you out the door right away, but we'll probably hopefully have one by June. I mean, is that I want to make sure if we move this, we don't all of a sudden, a couple weeks before, say, hey, we have to move this again, because we have to give this new town administrator, the new finance
But
director.
we have to have
Yeah.
our budget done by the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
can't move it to
And-
July.
and-
First of all,
I'm not-
our town bylaws require that we have town meeting in April, May, or June.
Yeah.
So we can't go past June, because our town, the bylaws require that it's April, May, or June.
Right.
So that's not up to that.
Unlike the state legislature.
Well, that's what I'm saying, when the date that we pick we have to take that into consideration. A new town administrator, a new finance director that's gonna have to get her feet wet and find. So my thing is, if we're gonna do it, I can understand why we want to, and at first I wasn't for that, but I think we should. But let's put it off as long as possible, because we're gonna have those extra people that have to get caught up.
I agree.
So so there are a couple of dates we could consider if the board indeed wants to move it. Now, Mr. Fennessy, correct me if I'm wrong here, because there was a lot of moving parts. First, we had to check with the school to see what dates they had available, because obviously they have to have dates available. We had to check with council to make sure council was available, and I think there were two possible dates that we could use. One, again, keeping in mind that we normally set a date and then a follow-up date in case we need another day. So one was May 20th and 22nd, and one was June 4th and 5th. The 20th and the 22nd was a Monday and a Wednesday. The 4th and the 5th were a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And Mr. Fennessy, are those, again, you agree
Yep.
with those dates? Those are the dates of school?
Those are the ones the
And-
school
And
had,
council
council.
said he was available?
So nothing later in June
No,
that you know of?
that's for both the school and the council to be available.
So I'd like to make a
Unless,
motion.
if I may,
Oh,
unless you
sorry.
want to do it on a Saturday. And some towns do that.
Yeah.
Kingston did that.
That may not, we've talked about that in the past, doing it on a Saturday.
Again, my concern is June 4th gonna give us enough time
Yeah.
to get everything ready?
I have that,
And again, no one has an answer, I know, but.
no.
All right.
if
I think
that's the
this could be a
latest-
Talk
tough
to-
year to try to go from a town meeting we've always had during the week to a Saturday. That's a big change, and I don't know how that would affect attendance. Might work out okay, might not, I just don't know. Keeping in mind also, if we go much later in June, school's out, and
Right.
people are on vacation.
Right.
And that could affect.
Worried about too.
That could affect things as well. I should add that both of these dates, I did check with the town clerk's office, and she's available. So it seems like all the parts are in place for those dates.
So I'm willing to make a motion to set the new town meeting date for Tuesday, June 4th, and the alternate date, Wednesday, June 5th.
We have a motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yes, I just wanted to say I agree with Mr. Hoffman. I wish it could be later in June, but I think this is
I do as
probably
well.
the best we can do.
Do we usually put a day in between or back to back?
Yeah, we usually put a
They
day in
were
between.
tied up on Monday.
But
In that week, that's the only 2 days
Just
they had
the
Yeah.
available.
Tuesday, Wednesday?
We
They
usually
had
do,
things,
you're right, but-
school things going
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, the finance director does start in March, at the end of March, so that should be ample time. I would hope at least a month and, through the month of April to get up to speed and take a look at the budgets, and hopefully we're in better shape by then too.
Yeah.
So that's probably more important that the finance director's, on board than, I don't know what'll happen with the town administrators first, switching that over, but I think if we have the new, finance director, in a balanced budget and understanding it, then that would probably be good. I think we'd have enough time, hopefully within that month to
And as
have
part of
up
that
to speed.
question, the interim finance director, does he have an end date?
He'll stay, he said, as long as we want him to stay.
Okay.
So even after she's hired, he'd be willing to come in and get her up
Okay.
to speed.
Oh,
that's
good.
nice.
Okay.
That's nice.
Okay. We have any other discussion?
Nope.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
4-1. Okay, thank you. Mr. Fennessy, you'll get that information out to everybody as soon as possible. Thank you. All right. Town administrator update. Mr. Fennessy.
So I have a short update. because I thought we were actually getting out of here for the planning board to come in here. But they moved their meeting over to the police station tonight. I just want to mention that the conservation agent, Gary Flaherty, had resigned. He tendered his resignation. He's moving out of state. We're in the process of interviewing candidates, and hopefully we'll have a new conservation agent on soon. Lynn Welsh, who was our payroll and benefits coordinator, she's accepted the position as the assistant treasurer in finance department, filling a vacancy made by Amanda Peckham when she resigned to take a school position in another community. I want to congratulate the fire department recruits. There's 4 recruits that are going through training and getting up to speed. They recently, all of them passed their physical ability test at the Fire Academy in Hudson. The chief stated that they're all excellent recruits and that the department is fortunate to have these additional firefighters to join the department upon their completion of all their training. So kudos to them. And I just want to mention that downstairs, the room 4, the conference room, is out of commission right now as it's being used for early voting for the primary. So that'll run through, I believe, this Friday for early voting, and then Tuesday's the election. So that's all I have.
Okay. We have the approval of minutes for February 6, 2024.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from February 6th, 2024.
I'm sorry, I just have 2 quick amendments
Okay.
to the minutes. The first one is under citizens' participation. The grant they submitted was an affordable housing trust grant from the state. And then the second one is right under that, under the Plymouth County Commissioners presenting the check, under the paragraph starting with Senator Mark Pacheco. I think it would be nice if we added that he suggested the Pine Tree Village residents contact his office for a letter of support, because he did say that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Make a motion to approve
As amended?
as amended.
All right. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance. There are none. Select board announcements. Ms. Ewens?
I just continue to like to remind residents to remember Shane Gives Thanks Food Pantry, as always.
All right. Great. Thank you. Mr. Hoffman?
Just want to wish good luck to the boys basketball team, the girls basketball team in the state tournament this week, as well as the track people that are in the states.
All right. Great. Thank you. Mr. Ryan?
No items.
No items.
Okay. And I just want to, I think yesterday the signs went up around town designating Carver as a Purple Heart community. I think that's a great thing for our town, so I just want to thank our town's veteran agents for working so hard on that, and thank the DPW for putting up the signs. I think it's a great thing.
Yes.
So, our next meeting will be on March 5th, 2024. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you, Area 58.